Thank you. So I was just going to give a quick few words on where we are and what we're doing at the moment, and a little bit about how you might interact with DAFNI going forward. If I click on the right window. Good. So as we've already mentioned, DAFNI is a 4-year development program within the UCRIC program. We spent quite a lot of time over the last 3 years doing a lot of requirements gathering, doing a lot of design and implementation, doing quite a number of initial pilots. So we're now in a pretty intensive development phase to get, as you've seen, to get all that functionality in place, because the development phase of this project finishes early in the first half of next year. So as you've seen from Bethan and Tom's presentation, we're adding new features all the time. We are getting feedback on what works and what doesn't. So we're a little bit of a moving target as we're in development, but we are getting more and more stuff on there all the time. I think that Liz and Mike have mentioned already that there is, as part of this DAFNI program, there is hardware also being put into universities. So there's nearly £1 million of the total program has gone into investments into local hardware at universities, and I think you've heard about some of the stuff that's going into in UCL. This is so that the particular university teams involved with DAFNI can use that more specialist equipment locally to do their work, and then hopefully use that in conjunction with the DAFNI platform. Certain delays which are associated with delivery and and procurement and delivery processes have delayed it during COVID-19 lockdown, but hopefully that hardware will be in place soon as part of the future exploitation. We are now in a phase, as we're doing this intensive development, of getting more pilot users onto the platform. Being a development project, we're not in a position where we can make it a completely open platform to all comers, because we're still under the development phase. What we're doing is a pilots program to introduce pilots onto the platform and test our features and see how well it works on those particular examples. And sort of associated with that, we now have just launched a champions program where we're actually funding from the project small projects in universities to try out particular features and help us with the development. So I'll talk about more of that in a minute. And then we're doing quite an extensive outreach program, webinars like this one. We have some hackathons planned, which we're shifting online, particularly with the urban observatories as they with them again. We've done some with them already. We're planning to do more, and sort of we're not quite sure what's happening with all the changes caused by the COVID lockdown, but we'll probably have some kind of final event around about probably March next year. That's still under a bit of consideration, exactly what we're going to do for that. And in the background, we're developing our long-term sustainability plan for production beyond March next year. Probably with some, what we're seeking is probably some hybrid model with, is some form of platform support to run the basic program, but also involvement in research projects and projects from other potentially non-research partners, to fund particular activities on the platform. So a little bit more in detail. So this is sort of our where we are. I'm not told this is entirely up to date. Tom will probably correct me, but this is roughly where we are. So we have a number of different pilots on the system which are completed, and we can show. We just recently got the Flame GPU one, which is an interesting one because it exploits the GPU capability that DAFNI provides. In progress, and we've already mentioned the NISMOD project. There's another related NISMOD project, which is more focusing on data integration aspects. And there's in our waiting room are a large number, or quite a large number of pilots that we are talking to and seeing how we can get on the platform. One I'm particularly involved with is this project called OpenClim, which is a new NERC funded project. Excuse me, looking at taking a similar approach to NISMOD of integrating different models together to look at resilience to climate change. So that's all happening. I'm going to do this in a slightly different order. Then the Champions program, as I mentioned, we're just setting up a Champions program funded directly from DAFNI. The idea is that each champion or each champion's project would look at potentially some particular pilots, particular use cases in their university, look at requirements. So what are the requirements for which those projects would need for the DAFNI platform? So give us advice on what functionality to provide on the platform, and also to do some promotion, some activities in the university to raise awareness and interest in the DAFNI platform. So we've just recently funded 5 projects, which are listed here. The two from UCL, well, I will mention them. University of Southampton with Simon Blaine and Adrian Hickford, looking at exploring what the opportunities there are in transport research. Mike and Just from UCL, which we'll hear about today. Simon Jude at Cranfield, looking at the Cranfield Urban Observatory in particular, which they're setting up on the Cranfield campus. And again, that answers some of those, should answer some of those questions about integration with urban observatories we had earlier. And one from Sheffield University, which again is going to be working with their urban observatory, but looking to explore some of these issues as how DAFNI can then be supporting a digital twin. So I think the Cranfield and Sheffield one will have quite a lot of overlap and drive us in the urban observatory and digital twin field. And then the final one, which I kind of separate out because it's a somewhat different one that Liz has been doing, set up with a consortium of different universities involved, looking at issues of the information management and the semantics that underpin the data in DAFNI. So looking at an ontology for infrastructure research, which I think is incredibly interesting and project, which I think probably will have implications that will run way beyond what DAFNI, the DAFNI project. Just to go back to here a little bit about what current data holdings. I just meant this is just to mention a sample of some of the data holdings we have already. I think Bethan mentioned we have about 800 or something. And this is a selection of some of those in a lot of data from the Office of National Statistics. They're open data from the Land Registry, National Grid, Department of Transport, some local authority data. We have quite a we have the academic license data from the Ordnance Survey as like a baseline, and we've just been in discussions with them recently about how we well, to make sure that keeps on going beyond the length of the current DAFNI program. more rail data, and then some bits and pieces of the data at the end. As I said, this is much a moving target. There's other data we know about we'd like to get on the system. We can access the data.gov data, for example, very interesting. We've been talking to organisations like Transport for London. An interesting thing we're looking at the moment is, can we form a common hub for rail, tram and bus information, timetable information in a common format as potentially as a central point for that. And then we're talking to data centers elsewhere, and I highlight the energy data center and the NERC CEDA data center, which is associated with the Jasmine system, which we're actually talking to next week. So yeah, so a hopefully useful set of data, but one that is kind of expanding.
Thank you, Brian.
Are you cutting me off because I've got a couple more slides?
Oh, you're running out of time. You've got.
Well, I think this isn't quite. I think this is
Okay.
quite important. I give this, so I'll give this.
Okay.
So just to reiterate what we're offering: a high-performance computing platform, a secure repository for data, and a platform to collaborate on research and development of models, and a legacy, a place which gives long-term accessibility. So we would see that DAFNI has a role in a whole of research lifecycle. So you can access the data sources and models are there to kind of explore your space, explore your subject, find out what the state of what the current state of the world is. You can then use it to prepare your data, organize and share your data resources within a distributed research team, give that access to your collaborators. Build new techniques in building up models, deploying models, scaling up models, combining and coupling models, and then visualizing your results, and then publishing results. So releasing data, models and visualization as part of papers, as part of journals, or just to release them as further resources that people can reuse in that fair data manner. And then also keep your results, curate results for the future, so give a legacy into the future. So I think we have a role throughout a research life cycle. So how would you talk to us? Well, if you have a suitable pilot within the current program, please discuss with us, discuss with Liz and Mike at UCL, discuss with the DAFNI team. We want to check that they're in the scope of the current project and approved by the governing board. And we do have and we would see what we can do about trying to get it onto the platform within the limits of our current work program, because we do have a number of projects on the go already. So it would join the list. For future projects, if you feel that DAFNI could play a suitable role in your project, then please consider putting DAFNI into the proposal. We're eligible for research grants, and we have a standard. Well, we're developing standard costing models for based around hosting and operation costs that we could include in research grants, and also research software engineer time to help develop, integrating the models onto the platform and the data on the platform, and any changes and features to be developed on the platform. So please talk to us. That's our email address, and thanks for the extra couple of minutes, because I thought it was important to say that. So do contact us for further information.